I'm going to start with the no public comment, so we're going to go right into it. First one is review of the donation for Siler Elementary Playground equipment. Is this one?
Yes.
No, is this Mr. Loeffler? Or?
Oh, no, this is actually
Mr.
Miles. Mr. Rowe.
My apologies.
That's okay. That's all right. My name is Miles Rowe. I'm principal at Siler Elementary School, and I am seeking approval for 3 pieces of playground equipment that we've raised money for throughout about 1.5 years now, and hopefully will be installed in the springtime. The total amount is around $11,000 to that effect. We had the money. We just are seeking the approval for the purchase. So, any questions?
And just for the board members and the public, the monies that Mr. Miles will, Mr. Rowe will be using, Mr. Rowe will be using is coming from his home and school association. Siler will be purchasing the items themselves out of their home and school monies. We have met with the township. There are no zoning issues, and we also received an okay approval from our insurance carrier that the products do meet their insurance concerns. So from my perspective in the business office, he's met all the necessary things that we would need to make our approval to your recommendation to the board to move forward with that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Similar to a PTO, what we had at Solidville Parent Teacher.
That's correct.
Okay. And number 2, bid review for the summer capital projects. So we have 3 of them. A, Central Middle School roof. B, the operations roof. And C, Operation Foil.
Mr. Loeffler, Mr.
Good evening. February 27th, 2 Fridays ago, we received bids for the 2015 summer projects. The list that Mr. Rugomo just gave, the operations building is for the boiler replacement, and the bids came in at $83,800. And just so everyone is aware, we also got included in that project the removal of the underground storage tank, because the new boiler will be a gas-fired boiler. Jeff did do some calculations, and based on his current usage, that boiler will save us approximately $6,000 to $8,000 a year on fuel charges. So that was a good thing. We also have the gas service, and then we also have the underground. The original estimate was put together to leave the tank in, clean it out, and fill it. We actually had an alternate and got a better price to remove it completely. That way we have no EPA issues to deal with down the road. So I think that was a better choice, and it was actually a deduct alternate, so that worked out well on that particular project. The second project is, and the low bid contractor is ASL Mechanical. ASL Mechanical did some previous projects for the district. They did the mechanical at Sellerville Elementary School, and they also did the dehumidification here at the high school down in the existing gym. I guess that's the green gym. So we had 2 successful projects with them in the past, and we hope that this one goes as smooth as the other one.
They did the small chiller at South too a few years back.
Yes.
The original chiller.
The next project is the replacement of the roof on the operations building, and the bids came in at $132,000. That's for a replacement of all the flat roof areas on Jeff's building. The only one that's not getting replaced is the shingle, that mansard style roof that's along the front. We did have to include some roof drains which are not currently there. There's a section of that building where the water can't get over an expansion joint that's along where they put an addition on. that building some time ago. And what that did is it causes ponding the entire length of that expansion joint, and it goes nowhere because the only drainage on that roof is the gutter on the other side of that joint. So we're continuing to hold a lot of ponding water. So what we did was we added 2 roof drains and piping to pipe it out the back, the same place where where the existing gutter is now. So that was reflected in the bid. We had to add the drains and piping. On the third project, Central Middle School, that is actually a roof coating considered a repair. And what that is it's an asphaltic coating, which basically is a slurry coat. It's more than just that white acrylic paint that we have on some of the elementary schools, which we're actually having problems with that delaminating. So we went to a little bit heavier product, and that's going to get us another 10 years of warranty on that roof. So what they'll do is they'll put down this slurry coat, which is basically a new surface, and then they'll put a silverized coating, which will then protect it from ultraviolet breakdown. So just so we all kind of understand what we're doing with this building. The bids for that came in at $266,000, and the contractor there was Munn Roofing, who also have done several projects for the district in the past. The latest one was the roof replacement we did at South last year. So we did get very competitive bids for all these projects. The total, and this was just a quick breakdown of what we had for bid amounts and what we had estimated from the capital plan. We had $554,970 for those 3 projects.
Mr. Spatafora, on the first project, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you correctly, because I'm not sure if I missed something. We're accepting the base bid plus alternate 1, 2, and 4.
Correct. Alternate 1 is to select, we gave contractors 3 separate boilers to pick from. Alternate 1 was to pick one in particular. It's an Airco boiler. Those boilers, especially for now we're going to a gas burning boiler, they're less finicky with a fluctuation in the gas pressure. We've had less callbacks and issues with that particular boiler. We've been using Will McLean on several in the past, South and Guth in particular, and they're very finicky. Cleaning out jets and different kind of fuel pressures, that kind of thing. So we're hoping to go with one that we know has a pretty good track record in this application, and it's a $1,500 ad, but we also took a $2,500 deduct to go to the tank removal rather than leave it in place. And the other one was Jeff's mechanics had recently, in the past, replaced a couple of ceiling hung units, and it was included in there for the new contractor to just hook them up. And Jeff said that they would rather just do that and save the cost. So that's an additional deduct alternate. So based on the alternates we put in, we're actually coming in under, on that particular one, under what we had estimated at $90,000.
Mr. Spatafora, you mentioned the warranty on the central roof. Is that an additional 10 years on what's there currently, or?
Currently it is out of warranty.
Okay.
So when, upon final completion of the project, we will get a certificate for the next 10 years for that roof product.
That roof's been out of warranty for a few years now, and it's actually just starting to look like it's starting to come apart a little bit. Good time for the recoating. If we would wait 5 or 6 years, they probably would not recoat it, and then we'd be looking at a new roof in 7, 8 years at $1 million plus. So I think this 10-year warranty is going to really pay for itself.
In addition to that, this particular roof, we're saving a significant cost by not doing a full replacement.
Right.
The rest of the roof is in really good condition. It's just the surface material starting to break down. If we do the coating now, we can save the rest of that roof system and not have the additional cost of dumpsters and tear off and starting, from the deck back up. So this is the time to do that one, so we can salvage 3/4 of that system.
Thank you. On So number 3 then, obsolete items for review. Do we need to go through these individually, or should we? Not necessarily. Okay. Well, we have A, Grass Elementary, library books, and a weeding log. B is Diebler Elementary, a weeding log. Siler Elementary is the primary swing set scrap. The high school audiovisual parts for TVs, they're listed as scrap and nutritional. A Buffalo chopper and POS computer. Public surplus. F is the technology department, various equipment recycle. Speaker surplus and various equipment recycle.
Technology stuff, is there anything, I see speakers and various equipment, I don't know what that means. Is there anything, any value in there? We're going to recycle it or surplus. We expect to get anything for it?
The speakers will put on public surplus because there may be some value there in those speakers. The equipment, those would be things that we tend to obsolete, laptops, some older laptops, a VGA adapter. So nothing of any,
Okay.
of much value.
And I'm assuming that the swing set and the scrap is the one.
Right, that's one of the units that they're replacing and Siler.
Okay, are we removing that, or?
I think that was already, has that one already been removed?
No, it hasn't been, but we will remove it as soon as it falls. Next week, next month.
Very good, thank you. Okay, then, that's everything we have for facilities, correct? Do you want to? No, I was going to say, Mr. Thompson, all the items that you had mentioned regarding technology, they were listed, a lot of them were listed as broken or obsolete, things of that nature. Okay. So, then that should be everything, correct? Okay. Mr. Cernes, did you want me to take questions now, or did you want to move right into finance?
I think we can move right into finance. I'm going to come over there.
We're going to switch now.
You don't have to sometimes sit on the other side.
We're just saying the other stuff. You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
She didn't upstairs and get something.
Okay, we'll start the finance part, but we need Dr. Radigan, I guess, to start that. So is she going to be right back, or?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just wait a few minutes here.
Here, we can't move on.
Did you want me to do that first? Did you want me to do?
Well, we can, all right. I didn't know how long she was going to be. All right, the second item on the agenda was the LRTA resolution. We had the presentation at an earlier finance meeting about this, so I'm assuming this is just everybody was in favor of this, so I'm assuming this is the resolution that was drafted. Was it by our solicitor or reviewed by our solicitor?
Actually, we did get this back from Bucks County. Mr. Cox did review it. Mr. Cox did make some changes. We passed it back on to Bucks County, and I believe they are fine with it. So it's just to go on to the next agenda.
Did any board members have any specific questions about anything? Okay, that's good. Then we will put that on the March meeting. Item 3 is our contracts. There's A through F. A is from Blue Chip Sound, which is for the sound, video, and lighting for our commencement in June. It's probably the same, I guess this is the same firm we've used.
Yes.
Is there any questions about it?
Is the cost the same from last year, Kathy, do you know?
I'll have to check, I'm sorry, I didn't check on that.
Yeah, we'll try to, actually, we could probably look it up on here from the last year's minutes, but we can find it.
The other question is whether each class does something different. I know there are going to be videos and all that stuff there was last year too. Is there any, do the classes take any liberties with what they want to do to outdo last year's this year? Or something to that effect? No? Okay.
I don't know.
Can I ask a question about the Iron Pigs Nursery School? Could you explain it?
We're going to get there.
Oh,
That's
I
the next
thought
one,
you-
but I had the same question. I didn't know if they were actually going to a game or if that's what that was.
And why nursery school? I don't understand the nursery.
Right, they are, it is the nursery school, the nursery school program, and yes, they are going to a baseball game. This is a field trip for the nursery school.
Are there high school students going as well?
I don't know, I will have to double check on that.
Because, I mean, is it 150 nursery school students who's supervising them? Because
Well-
don't the students run the class, the high school students?
Right, but also the parents normally go along as well, so I will double check to see how many are nursery school students, how many are nursery school parents going with their child who's in nursery school, plus how many are actually our students, and that's not broken down on anything that I have here from.
Right, yeah, I'm just wondering, because the 6th or 7th grade students used to go to a baseball game, and then that was taken away because, I mean, that wasn't even anything that involved the board. The administration decided that it wasn't educational enough for the students to go.
I'll go back to Ms. DeBona and find out.
Okay.
These kids are 4 years old? It's
Mhm.
nursery school?
Mhm.
Wow. Okay.
I guess I don't understand why we have a nursery school.
It's part of the program
Yes,
in the
part
high
of the
I was
classes.
talking down here. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to answer your question.
Well, I thought Mrs. Johnson could answer it. Can you answer it, Mrs. Johnson?
Well, it is part of our FCS curriculum with Mrs. Ryan. She does run a nursery school as part of the, students can actually take a track to get, I do believe they get a certificate, Dr. Redigan, I think we had that, I think they get a certificate for the child, for the time they spend in that child care class, I believe. So it's actually preparing students to be child care providers.
Oh, and they're real kids?
They're real kids. They're 11, I believe they're 11th and 12th grade
What a
students.
concept.
Thank you.
Kathy, is the ticket price, it breaks it down, I believe, but is that being reimbursed by parents then? Like,
Right, that would come from the nursery school fees that they pay.
so we're paying this and they'll be collecting?
They've collected the dollars for it out of their fees. They pay a fee the students pay a fee to come here for the nursery school program.
Okay, so that
this is-
covers the children that are enrolled in the nursery school. Do you know if a parent's going, accompanying them?
Would have to pay,
They
I
pay
believe it's, I
separately?
think it's all, yes, it's self-sustaining.
Okay.
And I noticed this is a morning game, which says it's 10:35, so I was kind of wondering about that, but now I noticed. So I'm assuming if it's that time, it's probably some special thing they're having for school-age children. I don't know. I would assume so at that time, so. Any other questions? Okay. The next one is the Penn Foundation, which is, I think it's just a, says it's a letter of agreement for services, right? That's something we do every year, I assume. Yeah, it says they have to do it per state licensing regulations, so. Right, and the Bucks County IU amendment to the wide area network agreement. Do you know anything about that, Kathy?
Yes, we are requesting an upgrade, 500 megabytes per second of our services from the IU. We actually entered into this agreement back in 2012, and it was a 5-year agreement, so we're asking for some changes. And we can request changes from the IU twice a year, once in July and once in January, to increase or decrease our services requested.
Any questions on that one? The next one is a emotional support class for a student at a per diem rate. And then the final one is the IEPW subscription renewal. I believe that's software, right, Kathy?
That's correct, the IPE writer.
Right. Okay, I guess, so those 6 contracts will be up for approval on the March finance agenda at the board meeting. Do you want to do your thing next? Okay, and we'll move back to item 1.
Okay, Mr. Shanice, thank you. I'm going to ask Amelia Grabowski to join me down at the podium because this is a bit of an official presentation. We always like to see when some of our staff members go above and beyond and put in time and try to better themselves, and Amelia has done just that. What I'm going to be presenting her on behalf of the district is a certificate that says, by authority of the bylaws of the Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials and by approval of the PASBO Board of Directors, this is to certify that Amelia A. Grabowski, having duly qualified under the standards as prescribed and having fulfilled all the personal, ethical, and professional requirements as established by the Pennsylvania Association of School Board Officials, is hereby enrolled as a Pennsylvania Registered School Business Administrator, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations appertaining thereto, unless revoked for cause. This registration is valid for 4 years. So we congratulate Amelia for this accomplishment.
Congratulations, Amelia, on behalf of the board. It's great. Thanks for all your time you put in taking those minutes and all for us too. Appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is to review the, I believe, the Upper Bucks budget, the VOTEC budget. Is that correct? Who's going to do that? Do you have?
I have a brief presentation.
Okay.
Overall, the Bucks County, Upper Bucks County Technical School is increasing their budget by 2.54% over last year, or a total of $207,749. For Pennridge, however, this is not an increase. Actually, Pennridge's support will decrease by 2.97%, or an amount of $82,655. Now, this is their general operating fund and does not include their debt service. As you are aware, PFM was here, Mr. Willard was here back a month ago. The Upper Bucks is doing a bank refinancing, and we don't have those final numbers in, but as of right now, our debt service for next year is $772,039.25, but I do suspect that will be down once the bond refinancing is done. So as soon as that is done, I can report back what the total for the debt service will be. But however, their operating budget, excluding bond refinancing, is up slightly, but Pennridge's contribution is down slightly. Actually, Quakertown is the one sending school that will be seeing an increase, and that also that goes into the number of students that they are sending. So it's proportionate to the students that we're sending.
And so I believe we all have to vote on that right at the next board. That's an
That's
individual, is that a roll call
Roll call.
vote? Is that how it works? Okay. And if you're not here, I believe that's considered a no.
And it's considered a no vote, that's
Right.
correct.
So hopefully everybody will take a look at this and then hopefully vote for this budget. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
So, what is the Pennridge amount out of the total?
Saw it here, it's on.
It's on page 5.
It's the sideways.
It's 2,704,257. Page 5.
It's the sideways.
Oh, there
It's the
it is.
second
Yeah, I
number
see.
down, the third column to the right.
And it's down
It's down 82,659.
82,655 from
I
last year.
find the page, I did, but it was never, no, it did, but
It's a
no,
sideways,
everything's the wrong way.
it's a sideways Excel sheet. You gotta read it sideways. You gotta.
Yeah, and you're clicking on the page? Got it, yeah. So what?
I guess it's,
So what is our amount?
It's based, the amount is $2,704,257.
And what was it last year?
$2,786,912. So it's down $82,655, or 2.97%. And I'm assuming that's obviously based on the student count or something, or
Right, there's,
formula.
right, there's a formula, and actually goes over it's a 5-year average ADM.
Right. So it looks like ours and Palisades went down and Quakertown's went up.
Right, We're actually,
We actually pay 42.16% of the budget. Quakertown, 43.98% of the budget, and Palisades, 13.86% of the budget.
And is the debt service on this page as well?
No, debt service is not included.
And that you expect, because we're doing the refinance?
We're doing the
that-
refinancing,
That'll be
right.
going down?
That's correct.
Okay. And so even though the budget went up 2.5%, our portion is going down?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
There are notes, I noticed on page 8, there's some notes about different items, so if you're interested in that. All right. Okay, so now, item 5, review the 2015-16 advertising of bids and RFPs for the items listed. Kathy, is that you?
That's correct. And these are our standard items that we go out each year. And this is the time that we come to you and ask that you give us kind of blanket approval to go out and do our advertising. As these things come in together, we try to advertise as much as we can at one time, so we're currently gathering all the information.
Kathy, I have a question on this, on letter A, the student planners. And that goes out for bid?
That's an RFP.
Okay. I know from a personal standpoint, I have a sophomore, and Steve, I believe, can speak to this as well. Do you know how much total we're spending on those? Because I've talked to several parents, and with the introduction of the laptops, it seems that, I know my son's is barely used. Many people I've spoken to have said the same thing. Their child's is sitting there, brand new from the day they got it. And I've spoken with my son and asked him about this, and he said everything's done through the laptop. And I think we're finding, as we're progressing with that they're getting away from the paper student planner. There's always going to be students that do that, but do we need to still incur this expense as we move forward with these classes through the high school? I mean, next year, this is for next year, so now you're going to have juniors, sophomores, and freshmen all with laptops. So we're buying 3 classes, student planners, and is it really a necessary expense, or are they really being utilized? I think the kids, the trend right now is with the laptop, they're not. So I don't know, can we look into that, find out how much we're spending on it, if it's really something that we want to go forward with in that budget there?
I think that was brought up before, actually.
It was last year,
Yes,
and
I thought so.
at that point you had 2 classes. Well, really, last year's was the first, last year's freshmen were the first that had the laptops that were following them. The year before were a pilot, so it wasn't your whole class. But like I said, I've spoken to several parents and they felt the same way. Theirs are not, they're not using them. The laptop's really doing the same job. And I think that's what kids are used to anymore, between iPads, phones, that's their organization, not paper.
Any other questions? Any other questions on any of these? I was curious about item J, the art appraisal. Can you speak to that, or?
Right, it has been several years since the art collection that the school district owns has been appraised, and it is a service. We could try to find we could try to advertise and see if we can get proposals from various people. I know last time we only had 1 or 2 people, and they could not. I think there's only one group that could do our entire collection, because we have different types of artwork, and that one appraiser may know all the local art, whereas when we have some of this other artwork from like New Guinea, I think we have some New Guinea artwork, they're not familiar with that. So we may have to have multiple vendors actually doing our art appraisal, but it's probably time that we should do this again.
So is this for insurance purposes, basically?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if we were trying to sell any of it.
My purpose is insurance.
When was the last appraisal? How often is it done?
It has been quite a while. It's not been done at all since I've been here, so it's more than 5. It's more than 5 years since it's been done.
Thank you.
Have you checked with the, with the IU to see if they have any suggestions on who?
I know we did in
appraisal?
the past. We got some information from them, as well as from some of our art teachers,
Okay.
as far as to who to send requests to. So
Okay.
we will do that as well.
On D, the technology, education, equipment, and supplies, is that the laptop? The laptops for the carts for the?
No, actually, that is the technology education. That's the shops, your metal shops, your wood shops.
Okay, all right, I
those-
see,
those-
okay.
Not information technology.
I have a question about the art again. Is all the art hanging?
No.
So is that something that we're going to look into, hanging the art?
Well, some of it is not in the repair or frame that it's able to be hung. There are some pieces of artwork that do not have frames and would need to be probably restored before they could be hung. So that's something, once we get that back from the appraiser, from the individual who comes in and looks at it, to make that decision, if the board wants to spend additional dollars to restore artwork.
But is all of the art that's not hanging in disrepair, or is there some that's able to be hung that's just not being hung? That was my understanding.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
Where is it stored?
Actually, here in the high school.
But there is some in other buildings as well. I believe we need to do a really good inventory of everything we have and then have it appraised and see what we want to do. at that point. I thought I couldn't get an answer because Dave was talking, that was interrupted you. I guess what my concern is it in an environment that is conducive to maintaining the art, the quality of the art piece? Where did you say it stands stored? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's here in the high school. Actually, it's in our, where we store the board books, is where it's at. So it's in the most environmental friendly place that we have. At one point, there was still a lot of it being stored at the old district support center, so we have moved it from there.
I mean, is it covered and protected?
We don't know.
Some of it is, and some of it is standing. So, on ends.
Okay, any other questions on any of these? All right, the last item on the agenda, Kathy is going to go over, as you know, this past week, Governor Wolf presented his budget, which was quite interesting. And Kathy's going to summarize that right now.
Thank you. Yes, Governor Wolf did put through an ambitious budget, one that would be nice if we would all get that here at Pennridge. It would certainly be helpful to us to actually close our budget gap. But as of right now, Governor Wolf's proposal means to Pennridge basic education funding would be increased by $609,640. Special education funding would be increased by $234,748, or a total of $844,388, or 6.31% increase over what we're currently receiving. Other areas that Governor Wolf announced were a change in the charter school funding. He proposed a flat rate that the state would set for charter schools versus the various rates that now charter schools are receiving based on each individual school district's cost to educate students in their school system. Governor Wolf's budget analysts believe that would save Pennridge approximately $543,860. The other item that was big news with Governor Wolf's proposal was his additional property tax relief. Governor Wolf believes that the state should be funding about 50% of the costs of education. However, that proposal for for additional property tax relief will not go into effect until the 2016-17 year. At this time, it is my recommendation that we do nothing at all to our budget. Governor Wolf's budget is the same as our budget. It's preliminary. It needs to go through the process. There needs to be discussions, give and take. What's going to come in, what's going to stay out. So at this point, I'm just going to ask the board that we leave the revenues on the state side as is, which is status quo from last year, and we also continue to expect the charter school expenditures to be what we are projecting them to be. If we get closer to May and we're looking at adopting our budget and the state is closer to adopting their budget, or we hear things, we certainly can still make those changes. There have been reports in the newspaper that some of the Republican senators, I guess, are sending emails and letters out to districts reminding them not to make any changes to their budget at this time. So again, very preliminary, and this is not unusual for any state budget.
Okay. Any questions for Kathy? I don't know if you all listened to it, but I mean, this is obviously, he's shooting for the moon here. It was quite a ambitious budget. So I would think there's going to be a lot of give and take going on, and what ends up coming out of that, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm a little upset that they're really not addressing some of the cost drivers. At least he's not willing to address the pension issue, other than having a bond issued for it, which is just, it's not reducing it any or trying to solve it. It's just passing it down further down the road. So we'll see what happens, but I agree with Kathy that We certainly shouldn't change anything now. We're going to continue to work on our budget. We had hoped to start doing some presentations tonight, but because of all the inclement weather and all, we're not going to be able to do that tonight. So what we're proposing is an additional meeting, right, Kathy, on April 8th, which would be before the next finance meeting. So that meeting, I would assume, would just be for the budget? Okay. So I believe that if that date is good for everybody, I believe it's a Wednesday.
What time? What time?
6:30. Does anybody have any, is that all right with everybody?
No, I can't come that night. It's reading Olympics for the middle school.
Okay.
I will be attending my vote, but I'll be there.
Okay. All right, well, it's very difficult scheduling dates anymore. There's so much going on. So I think we'll stick with that date unless something comes up. And then the next combined facilities finance meeting will be the following week on Monday, April 13th. So we'll also have probably some budget discussions during that meeting too. All right, I guess, is that it, Kathy? All right, any public comment, questions, anything? Okay, if not, I guess we're adjourned. Thank you.